Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am very excited to use Prismacolor Premier. It's just a set of 150 colored pencils, and it's my first time to use this, so it's very exciting. As you can see here, the colors, they're very vibrant, they look like candies, and who wouldn't be excited to use these, right? There you go. I'm gonna remove the top and see what's underneath, or what are the colors underneath. Okay, welcome to the blue and purple tones. Wow. Alright, so again, this is a 150 set of colored pencils by Prismacolor. Alright, look at these. I'm a little overwhelmed because there's a lot of colors, but just staring at them, it's mesmerizing. Alright, so I'm gonna start painting now. So I started sketching the eye. Yeah, that's gonna be the subject today. And kind of play with the shadow part with dark brown. Actually, it's I think they're burnt amber, and work through the highlights and the midtones again. I wanted to make it look like I'm looking at the window, kind of. Actually, it's my eye. The photo reference I was using was just one of my photos, and I kind of just zoom it in, and I thought it's an interesting subject today. So moving on to the skin, I layered it first with very light pressure using yellow, pink, orange, and red. It's important to know that pressure is the key in creating a sort of realistic look as you build up your layers. For the shadow part, if you notice, I don't use black because it's going to give you a muddy look. And for me, I prefer using black for my final touch to really give my drawing a good contrast. As you can see, I'm doing a very light pressure, and I'm holding my pencil a little farther from the tip. If you hold it closer to the tip, you're probably going to unconsciously put pressure. Putting so much pressure on your first few layers is not good for me because you are going to have a hard time getting rid of the unwanted strokes, or it's going to be obvious even if you layer them. As you build them up, it's still gonna be there. So pressure is very important here. So right now you can see the rough stroke as I go in almost one direction to cover my first layer, but as I go over it, my strokes will go in different direction. I'm using a cross-hatching technique here to smoothen the skin. Then I go back to the white part of the eye to build my second layer and give it more details. So I'm using blue and pink tones for the shadow and details here. I'm also using gray tone for a darker value for my shadows around it. I like working here and there because it helps me figure out what's lacking in my drawing, and also I'm not that patient, so I kind of want to see a good progress. But don't be like me, patience is the key to be really successful in colored pencils. Now I just did my first layer for the eyebrow with gray and burnt amber, then work my way back to the skin as I want to make sure how much darker I'd want for the brow. Now I'm adding a bit of olive green for my shadow, so it'll reflect to my skin tone as well. If you look at the Asian skin, there's a lot of like tones that are going on. We have like sort of pink, yellows, and reds and greens and a little bit of blues. So it's really interesting. So while slowly building my layers for the brow, I decided to layer my under eye skin with light pink and also some sort of reds and orange. Go back and forth here and there, and to kind of figure out where I'd want my shadow again, mid-tone and highlights. My strokes here are noticeable, but since I'm using such a light pressure, I know I can fix this later. Now adding some yellow tone for the highlight and sort of back and forth again. Some cross-hatching technique and some circular motion in other areas as well. So here comes a teardrop. Actually, in the middle of my drawing, I thought of adding a teardrop to make it look more interesting. If you look at it closely, I'm looking outside a window and I really want to go out, but I can't, kind of sort of feeling. And I said, well, it matches, you know, like some sadness in it. And well, anyway, going back, so I made the white part more pinkish. If you notice, our eyes are red or look like we have pink eye when we cry, right? So to make it like really more dramatic and realistic, I thought I'd blend it with more pink and a little bit of grays. Well, anyway, because I didn't plan ahead, I'm having a hard time now with my highlights. So I use my oil pastel, white oil pastel for highlights. And I also did try add some points or like little dots with my gel pen. And now my favorite part, eyelashes. I started with the bottom part and make sure I go in different directions and sizes so it'll look realistic, and same technique for the upper lashes. So right now I'm using burnt amber And then I'm gonna sort of play with my black for the contrast, to give it a better contrast. And also back to the iris, I want the iris to be more defined, so now is the perfect time for me to use the black tone or the black color, and to kind of sort of build up my eyelashes as well. And now for the brow, I use the same color with what I use for the eyelashes. And I made sure that I have those little hair underneath and underneath the shadow, so it'll look like it's real hair. And now back to the eye. Here I'm doing my final touch. I want to make sure that I go over to some places where I think are lacking of highlights and shadows. Alright, before ending this video, I want to share my opinion about the product. I think that it is a nice product. The color pencils are really nice and smooth, easy to blend, and very vibrant. The only thing is it's easy to break, so be careful when you're sharpening them. Well, overall, I think it's a good product, so give it a try, and well, I'll see you on my next video. Thank you and take care. Bye!